Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? I believe everyone should be able to hear me. Welcome to 24 Stranger Things. It is the 24th of December, not to stay on theme. I'm kind of starting to think this background looks a little bit like the Upside Down. But welcome everyone out there in LinkedIn land. Let me know if you can see me / hear me. I again am doing this for the second time without Min in the Restream studio. So I am trying my hand out at tech. So I hope that everyone can see me and I hope that everyone can hear me. At any rate, welcome to 24 Stranger Things in 24 minutes. My name is Beck. I'm going to go as quickly as I can here. But in 24 minutes of time, we are going to cover 24 things. I'm going to split for the 3 sales topics. I was going to do 24 things on cold calls, 24 things about cold emails, 24 things about discovery calls, and then 24 Stranger Things series, all in 24 minutes. And for each of the sales topics, for cold calls, cold emails, and discovery calls, I'm going to be essentially splitting it down the middle of 12 things that you should do, and then 12 things that you shouldn't do or you should try to avoid. So I'm going to log in here to LinkedIn and make sure that everyone can see and hear me. But if you're in here, jump into the chat, say hello, tell me your name, your role, and one thing that you're hoping happen that you get for Christmas or for the holiday season. Let me see. I think that this is working. Yes. Okay. Someone said hello. Hello out there. Okay. So it looks like my volume is actually working. So that's good. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here because I want to keep on time and I want to keep to the theme. So because this is within 24 minutes, 24 things within 24 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I'm going to be spending essentially 6 minutes on each topic, and I'm going to try and stay on time as much as I can. I'm going to go ahead and here and start my timer so that I make sure that I stay true to time. So we're going to lead off with 24 things about cold calls, and then we're going to go to emails, and then we're going to go to discovery calls, and then I'll do Stranger Things. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. Ready? 1, 2, 3, set, go. Okay, 24 things about cold calls. Again, I'm going to be doing 12 things you shouldn't do, and then 12 things you should do. So the 12 things about cold calling. The first thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't call them back if they hang up and say that you got disconnected. It's disingenuous. It's you're not telling the truth, and it's misleading to them. Number 2, I wouldn't call someone more than once. I wouldn't double call them. Number 3, I wouldn't ask them for something without a give, meaning like, can you give me 27 seconds to explain why I called? I would put something on the back end for them of like, if you give me the next 15 minutes or the next 27 seconds to explain why I called, at minimum, I'll send you over X, Y, and Z. Or you could even barter with the one thing they want, which is you to go away. Number 4, I wouldn't make jokes at the beginning of a cold call. So this is a big one. Most people would disagree with me, I think, on this point, but I wouldn't make jokes on if I told you that this was a cold call, we would throw your phone out the window because it puts them in the wrong mindset, and it doesn't put them in the mindset of the adult to adult ego state enough for you to have a pitch. Number 5, I wouldn't go through a clear red flag. What I mean by red flag is if you call into someone and they say, "Is this a cold call? Is this a sales call? Are you a salesperson?" I wouldn't go straight through that and continue to pitch. Number 6, I wouldn't start to pitch without asking for permission. So I'd always ask for permission to get their buy-in before you start pitching so that they don't hang up in the middle of it. Number 7, I wouldn't ask if they fit within a known profile. And what I mean by that is I hear this a lot on cold calls of, we work with people who struggle with blank, blank, and blank. Are you running into any of that, or am I just rambling here kind of thing? I would always hit on unknowns in outbound, specifically for cold calls. And the reason being, if you're going outbound, you have to keep in mind, they haven't solved based on what they know already. So unless you find something new, they're not going to solve for it now. So industry average conversion is 6% for outbound because you're going to someone who by definition has not solved for it already based on what they know. I would not use subjective terms, low, high, good, bad. Do you have low open rates? Do you have long sales cycles? Do you have, low conversion rates? What's low to you is not necessarily low to them and not necessarily low to industry average. I wouldn't ask for a yes or a no are you running into this problem? And then when they say yes, try and book them because they know that you're just trying to sell them as opposed to trying to solve the problem. I wouldn't counter with an absolute, meaning if someone gives me the objection of, oh no, we're all good on sales training. I wouldn't counter with an absolute of saying, oh, are you going to may I ask a cheeky question? Are you going to tell me that there's not one thing that you could do to get better? So essentially, all it does is it rushes them to defend themselves, not to have productive conversation. Number 11, I wouldn't tie their objection to your salesism justification. So what I mean by that is I'll hear a lot of people say, well, if someone asks them for price on a call, they'll say, well, I'm sure that you have sales reps, you have sales reps cold calling, and I'm sure that you wouldn't want them giving you pricing out on a call. Or someone calls in and they say, I don't have any budget. And they say, well, totally understand that. They always lead with the like empathy understanding. Totally understand that. But if I only talk to people who had budget, I wouldn't be talking to anyone. And it might be a justification in your head, which is fair. I guess that's okay. But essentially, it doesn't change their net reality. The reason they're not taking the call is you have an added value. So you can't guilt them into giving you time. So until you've done that, that situation won't change. I wouldn't lie to them. I'll hear people call into them and say, yeah, well, I'm definitely not trying to sell you anything right now. And I'm like, yeah, you are. You 100% are. So I'd just be, if you're going to talk about that, which I don't suggest that you do, you don't have to talk about selling at all. Then you would need to tell them the truth. Number 12, I wouldn't lie to them. We already did lie to them. 13, I wouldn't interrupt them. And number 14, I wouldn't do the kill two birds with one stone before you hang up. Hey, so now that we have a meeting set up for 12 o'clock, is there anyone else that you want to involve so we can kill two birds with one stone? I'm like, what birds? What stone are you trying to kill? It just makes them feel circumvented. So the fastest way to blow trust is to circumvent someone statistically. Okay, now I'm going to transition into the do's for cold calls. Do include a line of personalization. Do pitch the elevator pitch with objective terms. So instead of saying subjective terms of like, we work with people with low open rates, we work with people with a open rate below 50%, for instance. They shouldn't have to interpret essentially what you are saying to be able to answer the question. Number 3, you should give the elevator pitch in terms of unknowns. Number 4, aim to find an unknown in under 3 minutes. Number 5, ask a question for any piece of information they give you. They say something, you ask a question. They ask a question, you still ask a question. So that's the point on cold calls, is to find an unknown as quickly as you can, hopefully with under 3 minutes. Number 6, double click if they say that when I ask in my cold call track, basically, hey, this is Beck calling on a recorded line from Flip the Script. Have you been? They're like, you're who, calling with who? I'm like, that's a great question. The reason for my outreach is, and then I give them a line of personalization. I saw you wrote this article where you said blah, blah, blah. So I was curious to know if you've come across Flip the Script before. If they say yes, double click there. Like they just told you that they knew you. You don't know how, you don't know what, you don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, if they've used you. So I double click there. Oh, how'd you come across this? And then the conversation goes from there. Number 7, use what they identify as a starting point. After you go through your elevator pitch, if they say blank, we're running into blank, of like you were talking about email deliverability, we're running into email deliverability because we have a 20% open rate, for instance. Use that as a starting point and then start asking questions. The point of a cold call is to find an unknown so that based on their experience, they want to continue that experience of finding unknowns by going on to a discovery call. End the call if there's a real objection. If they say something like, you hear that they're in their kids are screaming, or I had a friend that was in the middle of an actual fire. A fire was going off in the background of she was in Colorado, and her apartment was about to burn to the ground, and the cold caller kept going. So when you hear a real objection, end the call, especially if their apartment's about to burn up. And then number 9, and so this is the last one. So this is the 24th. Leave a voicemail pointing to the email that you sent them, and especially the subject line title, because they're not going to call you back. Okay, that's cold calls. Now let's go transition into cold email. So this is 24 things about cold email in 6 minutes. Okay, reset. I'm going to go ahead and start. 24 things about cold email. So let's do the don'ts right off the bat. So don't use patterned words, just following up, just circling back, just bubbling this to the top of your inbox. Happy Monday. Hope you and your kids are safe during these uncertain times, et cetera, et cetera. Number 2, don't send more than 50 emails per day. Number 3, don't use subject lines that are the same. From a deliverability view, this will hurt you. If you're using, SEO optimization, for instance, I would SEO optimization, for instance, if you're going to send that to one person, you send it to a second person, it's counting as the same subject line. So you're going to trigger email deliverability problems, even if it's to different organizations and different people, even if it's 2 different senders that are sending them. You have to keep in mind that they are marking you as the same sending, essentially, domain. So I'd avoid sending same subject lines. For the pattern words, by the way, I will put a list up in the chat of all the 250 pattern words. Just following up, just circling back, hope you and your kids are safe during these uncertain times. Happy Monday, or the number 1 blank, who helps blank do blank. We work with people like blank and blank. Do you have a quick chat, quick time, 15 minutes, quick coffee, et cetera, et cetera. And then cheers. So I'll put the exhaustive list, but those are the pattern words. Will make them know that you're a salesperson and they'll log out of the email. Number 4, don't include links, especially unnecessarily. At minimum, I would include 1 link to a piece of content that's third party, not yours. So the more links you include, the more likelihood that they're not going to deliver it. So subject line, your signature line, if you put your phone number, if you put your website, et cetera, you're just increasing the odds that they won't deliver it. Number 5, I wouldn't put more than 1 line into or more than 1 line, 1 sentence into a paragraph. So 1 paragraph equals 1 sentence. I wouldn't mention your company name, especially more than once. They start to think you're a sales rep. Number 7, I wouldn't mention your title. Number 8, meaning it doesn't matter that you're the BDR or CEO or et cetera, it just makes them think of you as a buyer persona. Number 8, I wouldn't send emails with more than 4 lines in total. So no paragraphs that have more than 1 sentence, and no emails with more than 4 lines. Number 9, I wouldn't send emails on Monday. Number 10, I wouldn't use tricks like to make it look like it was personalized when it wasn't. Really impressed by your profile. Looks like we're connected, looks like you're growing, et cetera, et cetera. Number 11, I wouldn't benefit-centric pitch, meaning save time, save money, wasted time, wasted money. That just means you're in absence of essentially a problem if you are using ones like that, because they're the 2 things that everyone needs more of that no one has enough of, which is time and money. Number 12, I wouldn't say that you're taking over someone's account of like, hey, I'm stepping in for blank here, so I'm taking over your account. You're prospecting. They don't care. They don't care that you're taking over, their account from a prospecting view. So I would just, step in, be personalized, and start to add value. You don't have to give them the background. Number 13, subject lines that include pattern words. So the follow-up is going to be a killer. Free is going to be a killer. Problem, solution, increase, spam, 100%, click here, discount. Any of that stuff is going to trigger deliverability problems, especially within the subject lines. I wouldn't send follow-up emails to a thread without a reason, and I especially wouldn't send multiple. You tried to ask them out and they didn't say yes. I wouldn't remind them of that fact. Number 15, I wouldn't break up by using guilt. I've emailed you 15 times, but I've never heard back from you. You must not value your sales team, or et cetera, where you're insulting them or trying to guilt them into responding. Number 16, now these are the do's. I would include a quip of personalization. 1 fact about them that you cannot repeat from email to email is my first do for sure. The second thing that I would do is I would include, if you're going to include relevance, personalization is 1-to-1, relevance is 1-to-many. If you're going to include a relevance trigger, then I would make sure you do that first and say, comma, but more importantly, and then transition to the personalization. So an example of that would be, I noticed that you attended the 24 Stranger Things webinar with Dweeby Beck Holland when she went on a rant. More importantly, I saw that you wrote this article on X, Y, and Z. I saw that you downloaded this piece of content on X, Y, and Z. But more importantly, I saw that you made this comment the other day on X, Y, and Z. So I used the relevance trigger, but then transition with, but more importantly, use personalization. Numbers 18, use acronyms. Acronyms are your friend. 19, punctuation is your friend. Number 20, create demand by finding unknown. Always do that within cold outbound. You should always find an unknown, but in cold email, it's important because, again, based on what they know, they aren't moving forward. Number 11, I would send, that's 20. 21, I would send at 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. local time. 21, I would ask a question, 1 single question that's objective. Number 22, I would include an either way at the end, either way, and that's where you can put your good juju language. Hope you're having a great close to the year, that you are doing something fun over the holidays and X, Y, and, and that you have a great weekend, for instance. Or if I can be of any help in the meantime, I'm a click away. So that's just kind of an example, but I would say either way at the end of the email, and that's where you can include wish well language. Number 23, I would focus on their metrics in specific. And then number 24, I would include an article, but it should be a third-party link that helps add something to their day that they didn't know, not first party, not authored by you, not something by you, but should just be something that helps them solve their problem independently of you, that they probably likely want to solve within their buyer persona. That was 6 minutes on the dot. We are cooking. Okay, I am cooked. I don't know which one. That looks like the upside down. Okay, I'm going to do that angle. That angle is probably better, so I'm not like staring everyone up the nose. Okay, now we're going to go to 24 things on discovery calls, and then we're going to finish with the 24 Stranger Things theme. Okay, I'm going to give myself the grace on those 7 seconds. Okay, I'm going to start. Okay, things to avoid on a discovery call. I would avoid banking on their self-diagnosis, meaning what they believe, and that it's the entire and accurate truth. It's the first thing that I would avoid on discovery calls. Your value is entered into the equation when you find something that they don't know, that they don't, that they weren't already aware of. So I would try to find something that they don't already know. Number 2, I would try to avoid talking after they say something. They say something, you ask a question. They ask a question, you still have to ask a question. So when they say anything, I would always ask a question, and I would try to, sorry, this angle is really bad. Try to avoid saying anything, talking about your company, talking about a case study, et cetera, et cetera. I wouldn't ask leading questions where you're trying to lead them to answer in a certain way. Do you want to lose weight? Do you want more money? What's the impact to you if you don't move forward, kind of thing. Number 4, I wouldn't ask digital questions or outline. These are really, really cheesy, but the profiles of your buyer. We typically work with people that blank, blank, blank. I'm like, Brendan, save the infomercial. Just ask a question. Ask one question to them to get the conversation rolling. Number 5, I wouldn't say when they admit to a problem, because they know where you're going. They know that when you say, are you struggling with low open rates? They sound like an infomercial. They really do. You struggle with low open rates or, long sales cycles, X, Y, and Z, and they say yes, then you're going to jump in and say, we do that. So essentially, I would try to avoid those questions. I would, number 6, I would try to include using subjective terms or accepting subjective terms from them. So if they say we have really bad open rates, we have a really bad payment timeout ratio, a question that I would ask next is, what's the payment timeout ratio, if you don't mind me asking? Okay, number 7, I wouldn't stay away from the word if. If you're selling into EMEA, if you're thinking about opening new locations, and I would just change that to a question. Are you looking to open new locations? So if translates to them that you don't know a piece of data and that you have no interest in actually acquiring it before you give your pitch. Number 8, I would never share the deck with them on the first call. 9, I would never talk about yourself at all. 10, I would avoid self-diagnosis questions. Self-diagnosis questions and asking them about their take and anchoring to it. What's the impact to you if you don't move forward? Who else is involved in the buying decision? What's the root cause? What's the problem? You need to ask only one self-diagnosis question, and that's what brought you in today, right at the very beginning. You always have to ask that to understand what is the driving impact, essentially. But past that, especially if they're sequentially and especially if they're used alone as the absolute truth, then that's when you start to get in trouble. Okay, so let me go back to my list. Number 11, questions that don't ask questions you could have researched. An example being, you're like, where are you based? It just communicates to them that you didn't do research or you're trying to lead them somewhere. 12, I wouldn't pain sell. It's manipulative and it's not worth it to them or you. No, 13, I wouldn't COI sell. That's cost of inaction selling. It's brutal. It's trying to calculate out the cost of inaction of them staying still so that they believe that they should buy more. I'm like, forget the agenda of trying to sell. Just focus on them trying to diagnose what is actually correct. Number 13, I wouldn't lead with a business problem. The reason being that's not usually where you gain credibility. You gain credibility in unknowns, and that's going to be around, impacts, tactical problems, etc. I'm trying to get my Stranger Things logo press. So that's why I keep fiddling with my shirt. Okay, 14, I wouldn't try to bash competitors. 15, interrupt them. 16, assume anything. 17, diagnose without asking questions. The things I would do, get them to start talking at the beginning of the conversation with an overview question. So what brought you in today, if you don't mind me asking? Or I saw that you can give them a known and then ask about the unknown. I saw that you requested a demo. I did a little bit of research on what your company does. I believe I have an understanding, and I know that you attended our webinar last week. What I don't know is why, for instance. So that's a good way. Or another one is, I'm assuming that, thanks for the time today. I'm assuming that you took the call because there hypothetically in your head is that there's a problem that you want to hypothetically solve with us or evaluate solving with us. If you don't mind me asking, what's that problem? So you get them to jump right in. Okay, number 18, 19, find at least one unknown on every call. And 19, and get everyone to talk and find one unknown for every person on the call. So the unknown is based on their buyer persona. So I'd seek to find one unknown for every single person. 21, I would develop your own diagnosis separate of theirs. If everything that you believe and everything that they believe is the exact same, there's no point for them to be on that call. 22, make them define subjective answers. If they're like, we have a lot of reps that are onboarding. I'm like, what's a lot, if you don't mind me asking? So get them to define subjective answers. 23, find the driving impact, meaning the one thing that they want to solve by solving for the problem. 24, when finding the business problem, lead with what you think their lagging indicator is for credibility. So I'd say, for instance, sellers struggle with credibility that they know something, because typically in buyers' experience, we don't. So I'd say for a CFO, for instance, I would, instead of saying, what are you measured on? I would say most CFOs I talk to are measured on gross profit margin. Is that true for you? It's to lead with the business problem. And I would try to, again, go for that at the end of the conversation. You can't leave the call without it, but if you lead with it, then it's a very touchy subject and you haven't built any trust or credibility yet. Number 25, I'd find at least one unknown at the start, one in the middle if you can, and then one at the end. And I would phrase it, if they don't ever talk to you again, if I would do one thing, it would be this, and I would give them one whomper in terms of an unknown. Number 26, I would give them answer options for credibility. Instead of asking, how many emails are they sending per day? Instead of just asking that, I would give gain some level of credibility, especially near the beginning when they're unaware of, what the background is for you. I would give them options of what the answer could be. Instead of saying, for instance, how are you measured? I'd say, are you measured on SQLs, SQOs, SQAs? And so it kind of gives them some context of like, hey, I know what these answers should be. So they're more willing to give you the time. 27, I would never invalidate any misbeliefs that they have with an opinion, but with a stat. Number 28, 7 or 8, use the entire first discovery call for discovery. I would never do dumb discovery, and I would never share my screen in the first call. The first call is about discovery, and that's truly what it should front to end be about. And then number 28, I would follow up with unknown material. So that is the 28 things as opposed to the 24 things. So I'm going to start over my clock over. So now we've done 24 things on discovery, 24 things on cold email, 24 things on cold call, and now I'm going to do 24 Stranger Things theories. I'm so pumped for this release tomorrow. There are 3 episodes that are coming out tomorrow, and I cannot wait for them to come out. So here are my 24 top Stranger Things theories. I'm going to go ahead and start my clock here. Don't log off because I know we're at minute 29, but I'm going to go as fast as I can here. I'm going to go as fast as I can here. I'm going to definitely do it within 6 minutes. So without further ado, here are my 24 top Stranger Things theories about episodes 5 through 7. Number 1, Joyce will die. Number 2, she's the only one that will die. Number 3, Will break bad and give in to the mind flayer and be filled with him and be used as a tool by him. Number 4, Henry will break good. He's going to have a redemption arc in the story. People are probably throwing things at the camera at this point. Number 5, Holly has powers and she's going to cast a door in Dimension X she's a cleric essentially. She's going to cast a door in Dimension X to get her and Max out of there safely, out of Henry's mind safely. Number 6, the circular wall that surrounds something quote unquote that Elle can't get through, and that the military guy was peeing on, is the wall to Dimension X. That's why she can't get through it. 11 can only get to Upside Down and Hawkins. Vecna can only get to Dimension X and the Upside Down. The Mind Flayer can only get to Dimension X, so that's the problem. So the Mind Flayer can't just use Vecna. He's got to use someone else, which we're going to get to, but that is theory number 6. Number 7, this is an iffy one, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I think Nancy's pregnant. She's going to break up with Jonathan, and she's going to end up with Steve in the end. Again, I don't think any of them will die, especially not Dustin and Steve. Y'all are crazy. They're baiting you. Okay, number 8, there's a positive hive mind. The negative hive mind is basically all of the vines that were underneath, and the positive hive mind is all of the kids and everyone on the Hawkins side talking together. So Dustin, Lucas, Mike, 11, how much are they talking together? So it shuts them down when they aren't talking. So that's why Steve and Dustin were having the riff of like, we shouldn't talk, because that hurts the hive mind whenever they're not talking. But they're the positive embodiment of the hive mind. Number 9, red and blue is the theme of good and bad. Red means the character is acting in their good. Blue means the character is acting in their bad, but they're wearing that in every single scene. Number 10, everyone has a misbelief. Everyone has guilt around that belief. Meaning Nancy thinks she killed Barb. Hopper thinks that everyone's worse off when he's around. Elle thinks that she's a monster, and everyone has guilt around that. Everyone has a misunderstanding within Hawkins about something, and whenever a fight ensues, for instance, they go after Eddie, is because there's a misunderstanding and they need to broach to have a conversation. And every character has to go full circle in their journey to be able to come around and to enter in. So, for example, for the wall, that's why the wall is a circle, is because every character has to go full circle within their journey and arc. Okay, now we're going to heat up. 11, Dr. Brenner is 000 and was the first actual patient. Number 12, Dr. Brenner is Henry's dad. So when Victor Creel went off to war, his mother, Virginia Creel, slept with Dr. Brenner and created Henry. Number 13, Dr. Brenner is 8's dad. Number 14, Dr. Brenner is 11's dad. Number 15, Dr. Brenner is Nancy's dad, which means Elle and Nancy are half sisters because they both share Dr. Brenner as a father. Her father is not Ted Wheeler, but Mike and Nancy are half siblings because they both share Karen Wheeler as a mother. But Mike and 11 are not related. He says that in season 1 about the snowball. Number 6, when he's asking about the snowball. Number 16, Murray is or was a Russian spy, but now he's transitioned to helping the team. Number 17, Ted is a U.S. spy. 18, the reason Henry chose Will is because he's mad at Joyce. He fell in love with someone called Patty Newby, which is on the bill, which is going to come in very heavily in season 5. But he fell in love with Patty Newby, and there's basically a long misunderstanding if you go into the first shadow with him and all of Hawkins, but specifically him and Joyce. He thought Joyce was against him. So the reason he chose Will is because he's still mad at her based on that misunderstanding. He thinks that Patty Newby's dead, but she's not. Number 19, the Mind Flayer is going to start to choose Will instead of choosing Vecna because he needs someone who can go into all 3 lands. Vecna can only go into Dimension X and go into Upside Down. Elle can only go into Hawkins and go into the Upside Down, but the Mind Flayer uses any tool that they can, and they're going to use the best tool, which Will and Holly can both 3 go into all 3 lands. So that's why he's going to dispose of Vecna, and he's going to choose Will to use. Number 20, the key to Henry breaking good is that once the Mind Flayer starts to use Will, Henry's going to realize that he doesn't love him at all, and he's going to cast him aside, and he's going to realize who does love him is Patty Newby, so he's going to start to break good, essentially, And I believe who Patty Newby is Miss Kelly, who's the therapist, and who her son might be is Patrick, which was the fourth kid who experienced trauma, but she didn't see as a patient. That's why I think it's her kid. Number 21, in the end, it will all end at the clock tower in the town square at the library. Number 22, we're heating up here. Henry, 8, and 11 are all going to work together to overthrow the Mind Flayer and lock him back into Dimension X, because they're going to be the counter to the Thessal Hydra. But the last piece and the last element that's going to be necessary is Will. After the 8, 11, and 1 are trying to counter the Thessal Hydra, and then Will's going to break good in the end. He's going to choose to break good, fireball the Thessal Hydra and the Mind Flayer, and they're going to lock the Mind Flayer back into Dimension X together. Number 23, the Demogorgons, after this happens, will turn into flowers in the caves. You see in season 1, basically they say, the campaign was too short, and they're like, what happened to the weird flowers? I believe those weird flowers are the Demogorgons, because you look at their face and it looks like a flower. So they're going to turn into flowers that are in empty caves that were developed by the Upside Down. And number 24, Hawkins is the bad name. Essentially, everyone has a bad name that Vecna uses. Maxime, for instance, or William as opposed to Will, or William as opposed to Billy, for instance. I believe that Hawkins is a bad name, but once 11, Henry, and 8 and Will combined put the monkey back in the box, Mind Flayer back in the box into Dimension X, I believe that the new name, the good name for Hawkins, is called the Right Side Up. And the last one is the Stranger Things. The Stranger Things, sorry, is not the Upside Down. It's not, Dimension X. It's not the Mind Flayer. The Stranger Things are Hawkins, and they believe that they're perfect and they believe they're good. So they always say friends don't lie, but every single one of them lie. So it's not about being perfect. It's about it's about when you mess up, restoring that by saying you're sorry and giving someone the benefit of the doubt the next time you're talking to them. That's it. 24 things. We did 24 things on Cold Call, 24 things on Cold Email, 24 things on Discovery Call, and 24 theories about Stranger Things. I hope that everyone is having a wonderful 24th. Happy holidays to everyone who is celebrating, who is, giving gifts or around the Christmas tree, or happy Hanukkah to everyone. So I hope everyone has a great holiday season with everyone out there, wherever you are. And I hope for anyone who is a Stranger Things fan that you enjoy the season tomorrow. I hope this didn't have too many spoilers, but hopefully I spoiled the whole thing. I think that in the end, that's right. So thank you for coming today, and I will see y'all soon. So good luck watching the season, and I will see y'all as soon as the season ends. I'm going to do 2 more episodes on this after episodes 5 through 7 are done, and then also after the final episode is done, I'm going to go watch in the movie theater. So toodaloo for now, and I hope you all have a great holiday season off. Bye.